people like me. You need people like me so you can point your fingers and say, that's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy.
Okay, we'll start with this. Clarissa Shields views Lonnie Daniels as a quote-unquote very scary opponent, trying her best to talk up Lonnie Daniels, who most Americans don't know. This fight doesn't have the same appeal as, say, the Christina Hammer fight or the Savannah Marshall fight. History-making female champion Clarissa Shields returns to the ring this Saturday evening, July 26th, in Detroit, aiming to pick up yet another alphabet title. As if Shields' trophy cabinet wasn't stacked enough, New Zealand foe Lonnie Daniels arrives in town with an IBF light heavyweight strap primed for the taking. Somebody should have told Steve Wells, who wrote this article, that in spite of Lonnie bringing her blue belt, it's not on the line on Saturday. This is a heavyweight contest. The only titles on the line are Clarissa's. The GOAT brings her undisputed heavyweight titles to the party, and quite the party it is expected to be, with promoter Dimitri Salita promising a star-studded cast of characters ringside at the Little Caesars Arena. DAZN will televise the entire show. I told everyone last month that this fight is going to be sold out. Gloated Shields, 16-0 with 3 KOs. I have a very scary opponent in front of me. I've not taken her, Lonnie Daniels, lightly, and I respect her. I have to rise to the occasion and bring out a different beast. I'm not trying to break her strong spirit.
Is Clarissa Shields actually giving Lonnie a compliment?
Yeah, so often Clarissa Shields is too busy glorifying herself to pay any homage to her contemporaries. If she's doing this, it's only to talk up her opponent so that she can get more credit for when she beats her. That's all it is.
That's all.
It's not the act of humility that it seems on the surface, not the sportsmanship. Clarissa knows she's in there with a fighter that most Americans don't know. Even the ones that watch women's boxing, they're not familiar with Lonnie Daniels. So few of the fighters at this weight have any profile in this part of the world. Daniels will need every last ounce of spirit if she is to pull off a seismic shock and slice her opponent's unbeaten record. The 37-year-old visitor is 11-2 with 2 draws and 1 recorded knockout, and has never faced anyone of the former Olympic gold medalist's caliber. That does not appear to have impacted Daniels' confidence. I am grateful to be here and have a voice. I am better at fighting than talking. I am about to fight the best woman on the planet. I am here for a reason and a purpose, said the smiling assassin. It has always been more about boxing. It's about my people of New Zealand. I am here for a greater reason.
This is just a brief overview of the fight because I'm not actually expecting much from Lonnie Daniels, like I wasn't expecting much from Vanessa Joanese or Danielle Perkins.
I'm not expecting much from Lonnie. I would be surprised if she has any moment of success in this fight. That is how wide the skills gap is between Clarissa Shields and all the fighters you find at these higher weights. It's about as wide as the Grand Canyon. So Clarissa Shields, since moving up to heavyweight, seems to have found her punch, seems to have found her power, though it's not really brute force. The added weight helps, but it's the added weight in tandem with the velocity of her punches. She is noticeably faster than so many of these girls.
Now that speed, in tandem with her shot selection, creates a lot of countering opportunities that are resulting in knockouts. Why? Why is she more able to knock girls out up there at heavyweight than she used to be at middle or junior middle, super middle?
Why?
The discrepancy in Clarissa Shields' hand speed is much greater against heavyweights than it is against smaller fighters. These heavyweights and these light heavyweights are noticeably slower than she is. Their reaction time.
Many of them are older. I mean, Danielle Perkins was in her early 40s. Lonnie Daniels is in her late 30s.
They are noticeably slower, and so is their reaction time.
The knockouts
And the knockdowns are a byproduct of Clarissa Shields' added size in tandem with her hand speed that she has retained since moving up in weight. It enables her to hit these fighters with punches they don't see. And those are the punches that hurt the most. The ones you don't brace yourself for. Those are the ones that knock you down and sometimes knock you out.
So if it seems like Clarissa is landing with a lot more authority at the heavier weights than she used to at the lighter ones, it is because she's noticeably faster than a lot of these girls. She can get in with punches before they can defend themselves and catch them with punches they just don't see coming.
I am expecting her to knock Lonnie Daniels out. I would be surprised if she doesn't.
It's been close to a year since Lonnie Daniels' last fight, approximately 10 months as of September of last year, and that was the only fight that she had last year. She only fought once. She's getting on in age. She's 37, and she's never fought somebody like this. In truth, none of the girls at these weights have fought somebody like Clarissa.
So I expect Clarissa to knock her out. In similar fashion to the Vanessa Joanniz knockout 2 fights ago.
This is said to be Clarissa Shields' final fight of her existing Salida Promotions deal. Where she goes after this and what she does, I'm not completely sure, but I do expect her to win on Saturday night. Elsewhere in the world of boxing, boxing insider Rick Glaser took to his social media and stated, if Top Rank is to get a new TV streaming rights deal, it could be Turner Sports, which is TNT, WTBS, and HBO Max.
It's not exactly inside intel, Rick.
I do know Top Rank representatives have talked with Turner Sports. TNT just lost the rights to the NBA. Boxing would be a good fit for the Turner outlets. It definitely won't be for the type of money ESPN had been paying Top Rank for the last 8 years.
Perhaps not. And perhaps that's why Uncle Bob has been saying that in the fall, when they return, it may be with more than one broadcast partner.
Whatever money they're not getting from one outlet, they can hope to make up the difference with another in order to keep their entire roster active and fighting. Rick continued, in talking to someone this morning with some power in the boxing business, he said Top Rank has really lost their mojo as they've stayed on script to an outdated business model. It's an organization that operates on ideas of yesterday. Now, Aram is almost 94, with executives that have no originality, that live all over the country, that are never in the office, that are more concerned with seafood towers at dinner after weigh-ins than their own product they're putting out there that kept ESPN ratings sinking yearly. Will they get a new TV or streaming deal? I'm skeptical, but they could pull a rabbit out of a hat.
You notice the demeaning tone from Rick Glaser whenever he talks about Top Rank these days, where some years ago he used to sing their praises. Now he's got nothing but negative things to say, though in truth, you could say those exact same things about all the American-based promotional outfits, all of them, all the big ones. You could say what you're saying about Top Rank, about the PBC. In many instances, Rick actually did.
None of them are doing all that well. Not Top Rank, not the PBC, not Golden Boy.
The Golden Boy's not facing some of the instability that Top Rank is, but there's definitely room for criticism there. Criticism that Rick Glaser spares them.
Noticeably spares them, because he takes shots at Matchroom that are actually doing well, but he also takes shots at Top Rank, he takes shots at PBC. He doesn't take shots at Golden Boy. When I see how often he brings up what are supposed to be Top Rank's shortcomings based on their current predicament, it's all predicated on the ESPN deal ending, but we don't know if they're going to land on their feet. I happen to think they might.
If they migrate from ESPN over to Turner Sports and come back in the fall without missing a beat, all of this criticism will have been much ado about nothing.
Whereas I would think that if he were going to be critical of one of the big major American promoters, it would be Golden Boy. I mean, Golden Boy's fighters, all 3 of them that fought on Turkey's Times Square show, got beat. All 3 of them. I remember when Matchroom and Queensberry had their tournament, and how all the Matchroom fighters lost.
For whatever reason, Rick Glaser was talking shit He was talking shit about Matchroom. So how come he's not talking shit about Golden Boy? Because all three of their boys got beat. Jose Ramirez got beat by Devin, Ryan lost to Rolly, and Arnold lost to Teofimo.
Why isn't Rick talking shit about that? He often brings up how arrogant the top-rank executives have been the last few years, but what about Oscar?
How arrogant is Oscar? And how silly
To upload his Clapback Thursday segments on a regular basis while his promotional outfit is in shambles. 3 of your fighters just got beat, one of which is your golden goose, Ryan Garcia. Ryan, who you don't get along with anyway.
Ryan, who would leave Golden Boy Promotions at the drop of a hat as soon as his contract ends. Why doesn't Rick spend more time on that?
That's Golden Boy Promotions' only ticket seller, and that's a guy who's coming off a loss to Rolly. The rest of the stable, what are they doing? Zerto just had surgery, so he's gonna be out for the foreseeable future. Virgil, I don't know what the hell's going on with Virgil. When is he coming back? So that when I see Rick Glaser regularly taking shots at Top Rank, for no other reason than the ESPN deal is ending, I'm left wondering, where is that criticism for Golden Boy?
Granted that they're not between broadcasters right now, but they've got their own problems.
I would not chalk up what's happening between Top Rank and ESPN to arrogance. There's a lot more going on here, and a lot more going on at ESPN than just the boxing situation.
That the Top Rank deal is ending, but it's my understanding that they also lost Major League Baseball, F1 racing, UFC.
Maybe to some extent, Top Rank is to blame for some of their woes, but I would not overstate it.
Top Rank didn't blow their budget overpaying fighters. They did not oversaturate the market with box office fights, too many pay-per-views.
They didn't do that, and they may have had one or some disgruntled fighters that decided to leave them, like Terrence Crawford and Teofimo, but how is that different from Ryan being disgruntled at Golden Boy, from Sinicia Estrada, from Canelo Alvarez?
They left Golden Boy.
I think about the last 7 or 8 years within the boxing space, and I tell myself that there's not a whole lot that Top Rank could have done differently to salvage this situation, if it even needs salvaging. Because if they do end up migrating to Turner Sports,
what's to be critical about?
They're changing their decorum. That's all it would be if they do end up going to Turner. The situation is fluid, and there are still many details we don't have.
So we're being critical of Top Rank. At least right now it doesn't make sense.
Not till we know how they come out of this.
But this fight, he's stepping back using it. He's stepping in using it. He's not overcommitting to any of the offense. He's shooting you little tight left hands to where he's not falling in with it and giving up his height. Little tight little shots. Turning knuckles over. If you look at the knockdown in round 1, very key point that was not made on the broadcast. They both land left hooks. Zoo lands from the right-handed stance. Fondora lands from the southpaw stance and an arcing left hand. Both land the left. The difference in why Zoo goes down and Fondora doesn't feel it is because Zoo doesn't turn the knuckles over on his hook. It's a slap hook. Fondora, if you notice, has the knuckles turned over on his turning hook, and that's why Zoo goes down. Little technical adjustments, little fundamental superiority things that like in that exchange of hooks that made the difference. Because if Zoo turns the knuckles over on his hook, maybe that's a double knockdown. But Zoo has a hook that
I don't think so, because he landed really good ones later on and did nothing to Fondora.
I'm telling you, he didn't turn a lot of those over, man. So,
later on
the TV, you saw. I'm telling you, so look at the replays.
Well, I was there live.
He doesn't turn.
Yeah.
He did not turn in the same way. And of course, I'll admit, like I wasn't a guy that turned a lot of punches over myself. You know what I mean? So it's not. I can tell you the flaw because it didn't work out. It didn't work for me too in a lot of ways. When you turn knuckles over, everybody tells you turn a knuckle over, you'll get more steam on it. You lose about a split second. So sometimes you kind of like have to make that decision. Do I want to lose that split second? Is that something could come back in return? So maybe I'll just slap it and not have to worry about the return. But if you take the time to learn it right and do it right, see, that was a subtle thing. They both land at the same time. Zoo goes down because Fondora turned the knuckle over.
I agree with everything Paulie Malignaggi said. In fact, I said it myself immediately after the fight and the day after the fight that Sebastian looks to have improved. There is the condition of Tim Tszyu to consider going into that fight after a horrific 2024. How much did he have left to give in 2025.
That was a question mark ahead of the rematch. Is Tim Tszyu really back?
I thought he was going to win, so I have to give Sebastian full credit. I thought Tim Tszyu was going to finish the job. He didn't finish in the first fight, in the second, and Sebastian handled him more easy than he did the first time out.
Improvements.
Well, the main hang-up with Sebastian Fundora has always been that for a guy 6'4" with all that reach, he shouldn't be that close to guys. He shouldn't be falling in or banging in the booth because he's not using his natural gifts.
His height, his length, being that close to fighters that are that much shorter than you are, you're making it easier for them to hit you.
Whereas now, he's using his jab more, which in turn is helping him to better manage the distance at which the fight is being fought, to deliver punches without being in line for punches. Now he's mitigating the exchanges seemingly by not holding his feet as much, maintaining that bit of space between himself and his opponent. Now, he's boxing better. He's boxing the way he should have been boxing before.
Immediately after the Tim Tszyu rematch, reigning IBF champion Bakram Murtazaliev called him out. Bakram said, "Run while you can, Sebastian Fundora. You are a coward."
Bakram has not fought since the big knockout win over Tim Tszyu last year. I believe that was in September. And he's looking to unify. He's gunning for the other champions at the weight. Sebastian in particular. They're in a very similar place with me, these two fighters, Bakram and Sebastian, because even though they both dominated the same guy,
I still feel like I don't know how good they really are.
I'm not ready to jump off a cliff because the both of yous knocked out Tim Tszyu. What that could be is that myself and many others simply overestimated Tim Tszyu's ability, how good Tim Tszyu was, because you guys both beat him. So maybe it's just that we were all wrong about Tim.
Maybe it all just boils down to him.
Bakram's signature win is the same as Sebastian's. So who would actually win if Bakram fought Sebastian, this new and improved Sebastian Fundora? Bakram has made himself a bit of a bogeyman after that Tim Tszyu win. Nobody's really in a hurry to fight him.
Because from the time that Bakram knocked out Tim Tszyu in September of last year till now, you know that Sebastian could have signed up to unify titles with him. You know he could have did that.
And that never really became a conversation because nobody expected him to. Nobody felt that Samson Lukowicz would let a fight like that go forward. But now that Sebastian has been there and done that with Tim Tszyu twice.
2 times.
What is Sebastian gonna do now? This weekend, Xander Zayas will be facing Jorge Perez for the vacant WBO title. I, like many of you, expect Xander to win. If he does, I feel like Sebastian would sooner fight Xander Zayas in a unification match than Bakram Murtazaliev in a unification match. Both fights are risky in their own way, but Xander hasn't proven to be much of a puncher like Bakram.
Simultaneously, Xander is a bit more well-known, has more of a profile than Bakram.
That if he has to choose, he would fight Xander before he fights Bakram. Now, it's entirely possible that he doesn't fight either of them. He could move up and fight an old Lara.
Bakram.
For Lara's WBA title, Lara's not otherwise preoccupied with anything.
Just putting that out there. But of the other two junior middleweight champions that are there, I would sooner expect Sebastian to fight Xander than Bakram.
So maybe he will explore that option after this weekend. We'll see.